There's a conversation unfolding behind the headlines in Los Angeles, and it doesn't begin with the guys getting the most attention. It starts with roles, fits, and decisions that could reshape this entire offense. A tight end nearly forgotten in Baltimore is emerging as a potential difference maker. A trade projection is testing the Chargers' depth, and two offensive linemen bring two very different answers. Today, we're opening up that plan the same way it gets discussed inside a football building. Hit like, subscribe, and stay with us for the next move. The first signal came from someone who knows this roster inside and out. Daniel Popper of The Athletic named Charlie Kolar as the Chargers' top breakout candidate for 2026. That grabs your attention because a 3-year, $24.3 million contract already suggested Los Angeles didn't view him as some background piece. Now, the thinking behind that signing is beginning to come into focus. In Baltimore, Kolar was buried behind Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. He has never caught more than 10 passes in an NFL season, and his career high sits at only 142 receiving yards. But if you focus only on that stat line, you miss the exact reason this coaching staff may believe there's hidden production waiting to break out. At Iowa State, Kolar caught 157 passes for 2,044 yards and 20 touchdowns in 36 games. The dominant blocker Baltimore developed was once a productive receiving target before he entered the league. And here's the behind-the-scenes detail that changes the evaluation. The Chargers don't have to choose between the blocker and the receiver. The way this room is constructed allows them to unlock both. Oronde Gadsden brings explosiveness after a promising rookie season. David Njoku brings experience and a proven track record as a receiving weapon. At 6'6" and 265 pounds, Kolar gives Jim Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel the physical piece that can disguise exactly what the offense is about to do. When all three line up together, the defense has to find an answer before the snap. Do they bring more size onto the field to handle Omarion Hampton and Keaton Mitchell? Kolar can attack a linebacker or find space over the middle. Do they stay light to protect the field? Los Angeles can run straight into that choice. That's the value of 13 personnel. 3 tight ends, multiple formations, and the same unit threatening power or pass without revealing which direction it's going. Kolar played only 30% of Baltimore's offensive snaps in 2025 and saw just 15 targets during the regular season. His opportunity can grow in Los Angeles, especially in an outside zone system that forces defenses to move laterally and puts linebackers and safeties in conflict. This isn't about pushing Gadsden or Njoku out of the picture. The real trick could be using all three to multiply what each one can do. Reports of a strong offseason and real chemistry with Justin Herbert only add to the excitement. There will still be a battle for snaps and routes. Nobody gets handed a starring role ahead of time. But if the practice work carries over into Sundays, Kolar has the size to control people as a blocker, the background to produce again as a receiver, and a system ready to uncover what Baltimore rarely asked him to show. The quietest name in the room could become the one who gives Mike McDaniel his most dangerous disguise. Now the camera angle changes. Instead of a player growing into a larger role inside this offense, we have a piece another team would love to pull out of it. Mo Moton of Bleacher Report projected Cincinnati sending the Chargers a late-round pick in 2027 for Kimani Vidal. It's only a trade idea, but it touches a very real roster debate. The Bengals want more security behind Chase Brown and Samaje Perine, while Los Angeles added Keaton Mitchell after spending a first-round pick on Omarion Hampton in 2025. I understand Cincinnati's thinking. Vidal ran for 643 yards and 3 touchdowns on 155 carries last season, stepping up when injuries ripped through the Chargers' backfield. He also caught 16 of 22 targets for 136 yards and another score. In an offense led by Joe Burrow, adding that type of production as a third option would soften the blow if Brown ever went down. The Bengals would view him as affordable protection against chaos. But this is where Joe Ortiz has to approach the conversation like a negotiation, not a garage sale. Calling Vidal the RB3 doesn't erase what he has already shown on tape. Hampton is the lead guy. Mitchell brings the speed that fits McDaniel's horizontal demands. Vidal, though, offers a more direct running style, a compact frame, and recent experience carrying a workload nobody wants to test unless they absolutely have to. A depth chart looks clean and organized in July. 2 injuries in October can quickly turn the third running back into a critical part of the plan. So a late-round pick shouldn't automatically close the discussion. What year does that pick actually arrive? What are the chances that asset becomes someone as useful as Vidal? And who takes over his responsibilities if Los Angeles sends him to Cincinnati? Those are internal value questions, not signs that he's already on his way out. Moton created a plausible scenario for the Bengals, but a deal that works for the buyer doesn't automatically work for the seller. The opportunity cost matters as well. If the staff believes Hampton and Mitchell will absorb nearly all the work, turning Vidal into draft capital could open a roster spot and recover value before his touches disappear, but the return must justify giving up an insurance policy that has already been tested. The Chargers aren't trying to break apart an expensive backfield. They're trying to keep a physical, fast offense rolling for 17 games. Reliable depth is a major part of that mission. My front office read is simple. Either Cincinnati improves the offer, or Vidal enters camp with a chance to force McDaniel to create room for 3 different styles. There's no urgency to accept the first proposal imagined from the outside. The market could heat up when cuts and injuries change needs around the league. Until then, Los Angeles can listen without rushing into anything. Sometimes the best negotiation is letting the interested team realize that what it called expendable might be an advantage the Chargers would rather keep. There's a number attached to Joe Alt that looks modest until you consider everything that happened. 92. That's where the Chargers tackle landed on Pro Football Network's ranking of the NFL's top 100 players. Alt appeared in only 6 games in 2025, had his season shaped by injury, and still reached the first Pro Bowl of his career. That isn't a reward for volume. That's respect earned through a small but technically dominant sample. Jacob Infante pointed out that Alt allowed only 1 sack in those 6 games, and climbed from number 21 to number 12 among tackles in PFN's OL impact scoring. More importantly for anyone watching the Chargers every Sunday, he moved from the right side, where he excelled in 2024, to the left when Rashawn Slater got hurt. The switch didn't expose Alt. It proved how advanced his technique and versatility already are after only 22 NFL games. Then comes the part no ranking can fix. This offense was built to have Slater protecting one edge and Alt crushing the other, not to survive with one of them managing an emergency operation. With Slater healthy and Alt expected to return to right tackle, Herbert gets both edges of the original plan back. That changes the timing of routes, the confidence to attack downfield, and the ability to run without constantly asking tight ends and running backs to help patch protection leaks. I'm not going to waste time arguing about whether 92 is too high or too low. For a player limited to 6 appearances, making the list shows exactly how the league views his ceiling. The Chargers need something else from him: availability. The real leap won't be moving up to number 60 or number 40 in 2027. It will be sustaining this level of play across a full season and making sure Herbert's protection never goes back to relying on emergency fixes. There's also a quiet connection back to the first story. Kolar can become a bigger receiving threat because Alt and Slater allow the offense to release its tight ends instead of constantly using them to cover protection breakdowns. Hampton and Mitchell can threaten the perimeter because the line has movement and stability on the edges. One healthy piece doesn't only improve its own position, it unlocks the rest of the system. Alt has already proved he can play at a Pro Bowl level on either side. The ranking recognizes that, even if the injury limited how far he could climb. The next step is turning admiration into weekly control. If he stays healthy through 2026 and maintains the pace of allowing only 1 sack every 6 games, next year's debate won't be about whether he belongs in the top 100. It'll be about how many tackles in this league you would honestly take ahead of him to protect the most important season of Justin Herbert's career. That brings us to the most crowded corner of the offensive line room, where every rep can decide whether someone keeps a job. Branson Taylor enters year 2 surrounded by 4 rookies brought in through the 2026 draft, and his NFL tape still doesn't create much confidence. The Chargers have to determine whether the project was pointed in the wrong direction or simply hasn't been given enough time. At Pittsburgh, Taylor started 4 games at left tackle in 2022, played on both sides in 2023, and became a team captain in 2024. An injury in October ended that season after 6 games and pushed him into day 3 of the draft. Lance Zierlein described a physical, powerful player who can move defenders in the run game, but one with average foot quickness who has trouble redirecting when rushers attack his edges. The move to guard made sense on paper. Less space could bring out his power. Los Angeles selected him in the 6th round of the 2025 draft at number 199 overall and carried that projection onto the field. The problem? The field pushed right back. Taylor struggled inside during camp and the preseason. He looked better at tackle but still felt the jump in competition. He spent most of the year on the practice squad. In his only start, in Week 18, he played 71 snaps at left guard, allowed 4 pressures, and earned a 34.4 overall PFF grade, with a 37.1 run blocking grade and a 45.8 pass blocking grade. That was a brutal debut. But the people inside the building have to answer something more intelligent than, can he play or not? Taylor was returning from an injury, learning another position, and adjusting his technique against much faster competition. Another year of recovery and development under Jim Harbaugh could change his starting point. At the same time, Mike McDaniel didn't inherit any emotional attachment to this project. He'll judge which combination can help his offense right now. Taylor's one-year deal, with an $885,000 base salary and cap hit in 2026, makes him inexpensive. It doesn't make him secure. His battle with the new rookies may begin with a fight for a practice squad spot. Training at both guard and tackle adds value, as long as it doesn't leave him without a true technical identity. His best opportunity may be to establish himself at one position first, then provide emergency coverage at the other. So let's open this up to the Chargers community. Pay less attention to who gets an occasional rep at two positions. Watch who is correcting his leverage, balance, and response to speed. That will tell us whether Taylor is truly developing. Tell me in the comments how you would use him during camp, because this staff will have to choose between sticking with the plan, moving him again, or handing those reps to the rookies. Taylor's situation doesn't have Kolar's shine or Alt's recognition. It carries something just as real: the ability to admit when a plan needs to change. If Taylor turns his strength into consistent blocks, he can still survive this competition. If he remains split between two positions without controlling either one, the offensive line's next wave will move straight past him. Year 2 is his final chance to put that development on tape. Behind the scenes, these 4 stories create one clear demand: define every player's role before the season defines it for you. Kolar can expand the offense. Vidal should leave only if the return outweighs the security he provides. Alt has to turn elite play into availability. Taylor has to prove he owns one dependable position. That's how potential becomes a functional roster instead of simply a collection of names. If that read makes sense to you, subscribe, drop your take in the comments, and come back tomorrow. In Los Angeles, the difference may live in the decisions nobody notices until they start winning games.